Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Sports, the show where we provide you with the latest news about Cal State Fullerton sports and beyond. I'm Colin Costigan.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Sergio Gonzalez.
What's up, Titan Sports fans? I'm Justin Rosette.
And I'm Jonathan Mansour. This is the final episode for the spring 2025 season, so we cooked up something a little special for you all today. Without further ado, let's get the show started.
The Cal State Fullerton women's softball team took to the field against Cal State Bakersfield in their final Big West series of the regular season. 2 blowout games and 1 close call all ended in victory for the Titans and marked their 7th total conference sweep of the season. The team was named back-to-back Big West regular season champions, while head coach Gina Oaks Garcia, in her first year with the program, was named Big West Coach of the Year. Our Titans closed out the regular season with a 22-5 conference record and a 37-15 overall record. Additionally, a new single-season program record was achieved, with Ava Arce recording 60 RBI in a single season, surpassing Jenny Topping, who had the record since 2001. Now, before we get into today's banter, our very own Colin Costigan sat down with CSUF professor and filmmaker Carolyn to discuss her new softball documentary, Getting on Base. Let's take a look.
Good afternoon, softball fans, and welcome to the Big West Championship.
That was a great hit. Great hit.
When I watch a women's professional sport, I'm riveted. I'm inspired.
Women's sports is just as exciting and important and as valuable as men.
They just need the support from fans, from organizations, and before we know it, there will be that equality that we want.
All right, guys, today we are joined by our guest, Carolyn Cole, who is a tenured professor here at Cal State Fullerton in the Communications Department, as well as the writer and director of a new softball documentary titled Getting on Base. The film gives viewers a unique glance into the world of women's softball and portrays the talent, skill, dedication, and challenges that come along with participating in this unique sport. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Carolyn. So my first question I have for you is, what compelled you to make Getting on Base?
Yeah, so I grew up an athlete. I always enjoyed sports. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, and I was the first girl on the all-boys Little League team. So I kind of early on learned the challenges of what it's like to be an all-girl on the only girl on an all-boys team, and a lot of the parents yelling, "It's a girl," if I'd strike out and stuff like that. Yeah. So I kind of understood that at an early age. As a college professor, I've been concerned about our female athletes here, especially one day when I was at our stadium. And for people who don't know, our stadiums are kind of side by side, right? So when you're standing there, you can watch both teams. You watch baseball and softball. And it occurred to me that our baseball players, have the opportunity to go off to the MLB, and they could sign big contracts. And many of our players have over the years. In the softball side, I realized that most of the players there, they're great athletes, would be ending their career at the end of college. And I wondered about that, and I thought that addressed something larger about women's sports. So I decided to kind of get involved and reached out to Titan Athletics and asked if I could embed myself with the softball team and followed them for a year. And of course, that led to other interviews with scholars and academics and started to build together a story that I thought would really bring to light their determination, their dedication, their athleticism, their passion that the female athlete has, and also kind of look at female sports at large.
Yeah, thank you. And then, I know you already touched up on it a little bit, like talking about going around and being able to follow them, but would you be able to tell me a little bit more about the process of making the film and what was it like being embedded part of the team?
I kind of just jumped in feet first. I picked up a bunch of GoPros and a few other type of cameras. I introduced myself to a few of the athletes I thought would be the ones we should follow, and then just started filming. The first game I filmed was at the Mary Nutter Classic, which is out in Palm Springs. And it was freezing cold, and it was in January, I think it was what it was, and it was a night game. So it was a long drive to get out there, and I was exhausted by the end of the evening, but what a fun time. I mean, I think what I always wonder for students is, are you doing something that you lose yourself in? And for me, filming and storytelling, building a story, I lose myself in that. So it was a really great evening, and I was very excited to continue from there. So ended up with a lot of games. I think the two things that are most challenging about filmmaking as an independent documentarian is time and money. So pulling that together, working with some outside in-kind donations through an editorial studio that supported the film.
Obviously, this is something big for them. This is a unique experience that not many athletes do, especially female athletes as well, and not getting the recognition that a lot of them are very deserving of. So how was it, or what was it like being able to connect? I know you talked about some of the players you mentioned, but like I know there was a few players such as like Cheese or Soto as well. Some of the players who've gone on to graduate now.
Right.
Could you just describe what it was like getting to connect with them?
Yeah, I think athletes are very structured in the way they approach their sport. And so they were a little bit like that at first. It was sort of like, oh, I've been asked to do this thing. I'm going to show up and be very formal with me. But over time, that kind of dropped, and they, I became sort of invisible to them. And I'm grateful for that, because I was able to get in, into very intimate situations in the dugout where they were upset or frustrated or excited and thrilled. I was able to sit with them and be sort of I guess a fly on the wall is the expression people use. And that made it really possible for me to build out a bigger story, to show the behind the scenes of what it's like to be an athlete on a college team.
In your opinion, do you believe it's possible for men's and women's sports to become relatively equal across the board, whether that's in revenue, whether it's in viewership or pay?
So I think that in an ideal world, that would happen. Do I see that happening in the next 5 years? Unfortunately, no, I don't. I think this is going to take a long time. One of the quotes that really struck me from the film was a woman who's from the UK who has an organization that supports women's sports. And what she said is, when you think about sports, they were invented by men, for men, to play, right? And so women couldn't really break into sports for quite a long time. It was seen as unfeminine. It was seen, they were worried that we wouldn't be able to reproduce, have children, because we would wreck our bodies somehow. I mean, there was all these barriers to getting involved in sports. And yet women have competed and played with or without money or support or any of that kind of stuff, because everyone loves sports. If you're an athlete, right?
Yeah.
So could that be in a perfect world one day? Yes, I would love to see that. But we would have to see some major shifts in viewership, in broadcast, in people taking the time to buy a box seat at any one of the basketball events. We need more corporate sponsors. We need, one of the things that the film talks about is we need men to step up. We need men to say, male athletes who are making in the millions to say, I want to see equality across the WNBA and the NBA. I want to see equality. And while baseball and softball are not identical, they're diamond sports, right?
Exactly.
That's how we set things up in the NCAA, right? Our baseball and our softball have to be seen through that lens, through the NCAA as equal, right? So I think in a perfect world someday, but I think it's going to be a while. I think if we all do something to make that happen, I think that'll work out someday.
All right, and then the last thing I have for you is for people who haven't been able to watch the film yet, where can they watch the film and show their support?
Sure, so Getting on Base Film, you can Google that, it's on YouTube. And it's also on Titan Sports Network. If you check out the Instagram, it's at Getting on Base.
Okay.
And there we have links that you can find any of the films. You can join us and be part of the connection and revolution we're trying to build.
A big thank you again to Carolyn for coming on the show today. It was truly a pleasure being able to speak with you about your new film. Now let's transition over to the banter back at the desk.
All right, you guys, so we saw a little bit of the documentary there and the interview with Carolyn Cole. What were your guys' thoughts on this documentary?
I think for the most part, obviously, it's such an important film because we obviously talk about the disparity there is between like women's sports especially, and then I liked how they focused on softball because we see that a lot with Major League. Like you got players here, we have guys that are able to get drafted, but once like we have players like Ava Arce who had a tremendous season, a record-breaking season, there's not really any opportunities for them beyond college. So I felt like this film really focused on the opportunities that they need to create for women's sports afterwards as well.
I especially agree, and I think, especially seeing it firsthand right here at Cal State Fullerton and highlighting Megan Delgadillo, Peyton Toto, and Hannah Becerra, all of which who are all gone from the program, but obviously they left their mark here at Cal State Fullerton. To see that perspective, obviously from an inside, like literally just in our backyard here, right at Anderson Family Field, is I think especially crucial.
Yeah, kind of echoing kind of what both of you guys said. There are so many great softball players in this country, especially here at Cal State Fullerton. And right after the college season, that's kind of it. We don't kind of hear from them. While college baseball, they have the chance to move on to the MLB. So it was a great film.
Yeah, this documentary really shines a light on a bigger problem in college sports, which is, women's players not getting the recognition they deserve sometimes because they are women, because historically, men's sports are created for men, so men get the most media coverage, they get the most press, and so I think the thing that stuck out to me the most about this documentary was really the family aspect of how much these players are able to unite, even though there is no professional softball league, they still unite. When the men's team, baseball team here and at any other school has struggled, the softball team has been here the last 2 years now, winning Big West championships and putting on for the school. So I think it was cool to see the family aspect, and I think that carries over to today. We see them dancing before games. We see them always joking around and doing social media videos. This team is really a family, and it showed in this video. And also, I think it's not easy to have somebody following you around for a whole season doing a documentary. So that was cool to see them embracing that, embracing the camera, and letting that into the locker room. And so now with that, we're going to carry over to the current state of our softball team. As we said, they are a huge family. They really love each other, and that showed because the Big West Awards came out yesterday. The accolades were announced, and out of the 15 first-team All-Big West players, 5 of them, 1/3 of the all-first-team list was Titans. Some of the notable awards: Big West Freshman Field Player of the Year, Natalie Lozano; Head Coach of the Year, Gina Oaks Garcia; Ava Arce, Field Player of the Year; Big West Freshman Pitcher of the Year, Eva Hurtado. There's so many more. But what stood out to you guys about this list? And overall, our softball team did close out their season. Playoffs are starting tomorrow. So what are your guys' thoughts on the accolades and going into the playoffs?
I think for the most part, obviously, there's so many other accolades you didn't mention too. And it's just, I think the one that sticks out that you did mention, though, obviously, was Coach of the Year. Because, I mean, Gina Oaks Garcia previously, obviously, she spent some time as the pitching coach, but this is her first time stepping into a bigger role. You have no idea what was going to happen. You lose your 2 starting pitchers from last year, with Chambers going to Oregon, and then obviously Haley Rainey going all the way to Auburn. So it's like you have no idea where your rotation is going to come from. And it was the people that stepped up. You had Leanna Garcia stepped up. I know she battled an injury a little bit, and I believe she's currently battling a little bit of one right now. Ava Hurtado as well. I mean, you mentioned she also was on that list as well. It was the fact that the pitching staff stepped up, and then you also have a tremendous season as well from Ava Arce. I feel like that was incredible. Obviously, I've been tracking those RBIs for like the last month. I feel like I've been tracking it, just wondering. And the fact that she was able to do it in her final AB on a 2-run homer to give them a lead in the bottom of the 6th was really the cherry on top. I mean, that was just so, it was so Titans-like for them, the season that they were having, to be able to do it in that moment, in that situation. So that one was really cool for me. And I feel like going into at least the Big West Championships, right now, as it states, they're going to play tomorrow, or they're going to play on Thursday, that is. And it's either going to be number 4 Long Beach, a team that they swept earlier in the year, or it's going to be number 5 Hawaii, who did beat them in a series 2-1. It was a very tight series. The Titans did have a lead in the top of the 7th, but then Hawaii just kind of stormed back. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare. I'm optimistic that Long Beach will be able to win, but I think Long Beach is their easier matchup. So I feel like if they're able to play Long Beach, they should have no problem in the first round.
I think just the success of the season overall is just completely remarkable and goes to show exactly what type of program we have here at Cal State Fullerton. I mean, you look at last year, they had a regular season record of 36-18, and this year they just narrowly bested it with just having 17 losses. But also, like, you're thinking, like, okay, like, back-to-back very good years, like, they must have just, like, kept the same team, but they didn't, you know? Like, literally everybody here, I would say just about, like, RC, Leanna Garcia, like, she played a bit of a key role last year. But other than that, nobody else that's mentioned here was, like, that crucial to the team. Maybe outside McClinton. But, I mean, we have guys, or girls, excuse me, that stepped up and, like, didn't start last year and now are getting all these accolades. So it's just incredible to see, especially from a first-year coach in Gina Oaks Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to add on to what Colin was saying, Gina Oaks Garcia, pitching coach, and then loses some top pitchers from last year. This year, she brings in Ava Hurtado, and she has an amazing year. She was awarded the Big West Freshman Pitcher of the Year. So it's great to see that she was able to get that type of production from a freshman, and that showed especially this past weekend. Hurtado, she went 5.2 innings pitched and no runs allowed over the weekend. So pretty great stuff, and hopefully they can carry this into the Big West tournament.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing were the freshmen. Natalie Lozano winning Freshman Field Player of the Year, and then Eva Hurtado winning Freshman Pitcher of the Year. Lozano was big time all season. She batted .378, 59 hits, 43 RBI, 7 home runs. She was top 5 batter in the Big West, and then Hurtado was top 10 in ERA with 3.21, 65 strikeouts, and 6 wins. And I think the freshmen are going to end up being very instrumental in the playoffs, as we saw Leanna Garcia was last year. So I think they're going to come up big for us. I think overall, huge shout out to Gina Oaks Garcia in her first year. She made it look easy, not easy at all what she did. And like you said, Colin, we did lose that series against Hawaii. That was only the second series they lost this year total, so it is a little scary. We have to play either our rival in Long Beach, who we swept and is angry at us, or a team that we lost to earlier. So it's a little nerve-wracking. We had an amazing season, so it's a little nerve-wracking, the possibility of an upset. But overall, this team has done way too well to get to the first round of the playoffs and blow it all away. So I'm very optimistic for the playoffs.
There's been some exciting news in women's tennis as 3 different Titans received recognition in the Big West Conference 2025 yearly honors. The first was San Myung, who's named to the All-Big West first team in singles, a career second. As the number 1 spot, she ran a perfect 9-0 record in Big West play and 15-4 record, 12-game win streak for the season. Seha Yu was named to the All-Big West second team in singles and had an honorable mention along with her partner Caitlin Taylor, in doubles that is. Yu held a 6-3 record in conference play and 11-6 overall for singles play. Partnered with Taylor, her doubles record stands at 10-5 at the number 3 spot and 2-1 at the number 2 spot, making their overall record 12-6. Taylor, now as a senior, spent her 4-year career as a Titan with 40 wins in singles and 39 wins in doubles overall. The Titans finished the season going 10-10 and 4-5 for Big West play and were seated at number 7 before being eliminated by Cal State Northridge, who were seated at number 6. Saying farewell to 2 senior players, the women's tennis team will have 7 players scheduled to return for the next season. So obviously it was a very tough loss for the Titans losing to Northridge, and it was just so disappointing because second year in a row now it came down to the singles play where Milena Gevorgyan lost in the 3rd set. So it was a very tough loss for them, but if you look at it on the optimistic side, they do have a lot of players coming back as well as the emergence of Carrington Hayes as well. So what do you guys think about this team going into next season?
I mean, I think this team is pretty established, and overall, I want to give a shout out to Ellie Johnson, who stepped into a program that was already pretty established, and obviously turned them into another very successful team. But obviously, this time we didn't get the playoff run that we would have liked. I want to give shout outs just all around the board to Sammy Young. She went 14-4 over the year and ended the season on a 12-game winning streak. Seha Yu, you mentioned she stepped up, and she was also super crucial in doubles. Overall, I really like what this team had to offer, and obviously a very disappointing result. But hopefully this can build for something more in the long run.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to Milena Gevorgyan. I know she had a rough end to the season, but we have to remember that without her in the beginning of the season, our record probably looks different. She was amazing. She was probably one of our best players in the beginning of the year. It's just really unfortunate that it kind of unraveled towards the end of the season. But like you guys said, this team is very established. They have a lot of returning players, and I'm very excited to see what they have going on next year.
Yeah, as we said, a lot of returners. I think for me, the biggest thing is just Sammy Young coming back. Big West play, she was a guaranteed win. So that's kind of like you have one guaranteed point. Hopefully it continues next year, but only a sophomore, and she's Big West all-first team. So that's huge for your team. That's huge for an Ellie Johnson to have. You can come in and have someone like Sammy Young, basically a guaranteed win. I think another big thing we mentioned is Gevorgyan, the 2nd year in a row now where she was the person that lost the final match for the Titans in this season. I believe she's going to be going into her senior year. So what better motivation is that than to, try to turn that around and go out and be the winning player for your team next year. So we'll see. I think one of the bigger things here is the regular season success. I think we have a team that, as we saw last year, can make it to the finals in the Big West tennis tournament. It's just we had a 6 seed and now we have a 7 seed. So it's making it hard on ourselves because we're so far back. But if we were to be top 3, top 4 seed, we have easier slates in the first 2 rounds. Now we can make a better push. So I think regular season record is going to be a bigger thing next year. But also 7 strong returners, and they're sure to bring in some other people too. So high hopes for next season for the tennis team.
We could be Riverside, guys. Thank God or not.
Hopefully.
It is another series win for the men's baseball team as the Titans defeated UC Santa Barbara in 2 out of 3 games. The opening game in the series started slow, with Santa Barbara getting a 1-run lead right out of the gate. And after some back and forth, the game was tied going into the 9th inning at 2 runs each. This is when Max Ortega clutched up and hit a walk-off home run, giving Fullerton their first walk-off win of the season. Looking to win the series, the Titans used their momentum from Game 1 and started Game 2 with another home run from Carter Johnstone. The lead for the Titans would quickly increase as they would score 2 more runs, and another 6 in the 2nd inning, in part thanks to Ortega once again batting with the bases loaded. Ortega hit a grand slam out to left field. While UC Santa Barbara would score a couple of runs throughout the game, it wasn't enough to counter the explosive performance the Titans showed in the first 2 innings, however. Game 3 is where UC Santa Barbara would deny Fullerton the sweep as the Titans trailed 4-1 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. They unfortunately fell short of a potential comeback, only scoring 2 runs, and after a shutout in the 9th inning, the series finale ended with a loss 3-4. Yesterday, the men's baseball team improved their overall record to 26-22 after defeating San Diego. The Titans in Big West play stand at 16-8. So guys, Big win yesterday against San Diego. They scored 10 runs, and before last night, the Titans had scored 5 or more runs in 2 of their last 8 games. So it's great to see that offense kind of come back to the form that we've been seeing all the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I feel like for the most part, there's a lot of things that stood out to me. I definitely, I had the great opportunity to call all 3 of these games this past weekend. And, the cherry on top was winning the series for sure against a team that was entering right now, currently, I believe, a team that is like top 15 in the nation in ERA. But what was really interesting to me is that you mentioned the walk-off. That was the first time since April 14th of last year where they won 4-3. They were trailing 3-0 going into the bottom of the 8th. And then they had one 2 days prior on the 12th when they were down 8-4 going into the bottom of the 9th and scored 7 runs, capped off by a 3-run homer from Nico Regino. But the thing that was interesting, Jonathan, you talk about Game 1, that was the first time they've, obviously the first walk-off the season, first walk-off for Ortega, and that was his first time hitting back-to-back homers. He obviously hit a grand slam the following game, that is, or I should say back-to-back games. And then that was their first win with just 3 runs. They were previously 0-4. So, I mean, they broke a lot. There's a lot of things on here that kind of broke the negative trend. So they are 10-0 now when they keep opponents to at least 2 runs or less. And they were previously 0-2 when tied after the 8th inning. And it was good that Max Ortega hit that because they've been outscored 0-5 in extra innings this year. So, and then prior to games, they'd been out this game, entering that series, they had been outscored 36-58 in the first inning. And they were 7-11 when opponents scored in the first inning because obviously they hit a leadoff homer, or not a leadoff, but a homer in the top of the first. Game 2, we mentioned Johnstone hit the leadoff bomb as well. Ortega, Lada came through with RBI singles before the big grand slam for Max Ortega, which was absolutely crushed. So the Titans are now 9-4 when they hit 2 homers. They were just 1 and I thought that was interesting because the Titans, for some reason, are only 1-1 when they score 9 runs. But when you bump that up to 10 runs, they're now 11-2 on the season. That includes that victory, and that includes the one you were talking about with UC San Diego last night. And the patience from the Titans as well. On Saturday, half of their hits, so 6 of them came when they were tied or ahead in the count. And then on Friday, they worked 12 3-ball counts and had 8 full counts. So, I mean, it's just the patience of this team as well. And obviously, pitching as well was just so amazing. For Krakowski, that he tied a season-long 4 innings pitched, and that was the second straight time that he had done that. And that was also just his second time being the game opener for a Saturday game or the second game of the series. So he's really found his role in there, just allowing 1 earned run on 3 hits with a season-high 5 strikeouts. Negretti had 7 shutout innings, but 7 innings, the longest outing of the season for him. Just 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts on just 91 pitches. And what was interesting is he only threw 12 pitches in the 6th and 7th inning. So he did a tremendous job really being efficient for the Titans. So I feel like as they go into facing Hawaii next, they are fairly mid for the most part in average. They do walk the most in the Big West, and they do have the least amount of strikeouts. So they are pretty patient bats. But they are very good in pitching. They're second with a 4.12 ERA, and they don't allow that many hits, just second least amount of hits allowed in the Big West at 358. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic going into this Hawaii series for this team, but I'm liking what I'm seeing really on both sides of the ball.
I really like that pitching is finally at least looking like they're starting to step up a bit. I mean, you mentioned before, like Krakowski, like he's been incredible, but at the same time, the Titans have never really had a set 2 or 3 starter throughout this entire season, really. I mean, Negretti, he's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, at least 5 innings in each of his starts in every single game. But outside of that, I mean, you're only getting about like 3 to 4, 4 to 5 innings from Krakowski, and maybe like it seems about just about every third day on a Sunday is a bullpen game. But for the most part, though, I mean, pitching stepped up as a whole, and this team is really starting to come together and shut down their opponents. And offense, I mean, it's a little bit lackluster as of late, but you mentioned their scoring recently, and hopefully that can keep up because that's exactly what this team needs to win, especially with the offense, what our offense is really capable of. And I also want to give a bit of a shout out to this team on Friday. On Friday, they faced Tyler Bremner. This guy is a number 17 MLB prospect for this year's draft from UC Santa Barbara. I was there. He was pumping 97 and 98 with his fastball, and there are guys on my Los Angeles Dodgers that do not pump that. So, like, to see that in the college level is, like, obviously absurd. And the fact that we were able to hit it a little bit, I mean, we scored 2 runs in 7 innings, but he also struck us out 10 times. But it's like, I mean, the trade-off, you know?
Like a pitching factory over in UC Santa Barbara. It's quite amazing what the offense was able to do against that rotation.
I mean, only 2 runs, but I feel like I really saw some fight from that team on Friday, and they were working these ABs against pretty much an MLB type of pitcher, and they were able to obviously win the game on the Max Ortega home run against a lefty that's going in the mid-90s. So, like, I mean, the resilience is definitely there, and obviously like the results recently have been promising, and obviously very, very hopeful going into these next couple of weeks, and obviously the tournament right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of mentioned it. Krakowski, 4 innings pitched back to back. Do we have a second starter? I think so, hopefully. But you guys mentioned the pitching. Yesterday, we used 7 arms, 6 of them pitched scoreless frames. It's great to see, and hopefully it just continues.
Yeah, I think that this team is just in such a groove right now. I think in the beginning of the season, it was looking, I forget what the record was. I believe it was 4-15. It was looking really bad. And I think our overall record is 26-22. I don't think it does justice just how good this team is, because 16-8 in conference play. They've won their last 6 conference series now, which is crazy. That if you would have told us that from the first couple of series, we would have been like, you're lying. But they've really picked it up around the right time. I want to give a big shout out to Max Ortega. I was at one of the baseball practices a few weeks ago, and there was just somebody hitting it. He's not the biggest guy, but he was hitting, and I'm like, that little dude has so much power. And like that was Max Ortega. And so when I saw the grand slam, I was like, no, dude, that guy, he has a lot of power. So that grand slam was amazing, and Colin had the opportunity to call that grand slam. That was super cool to see. But I'm really hopeful for this team going into the Big West playoffs. And the top 3 seed right now. We're only 2 games behind Cal Poly, who's been struggling. They have 2 easy series, though, and we have to play Hawaii and UC Irvine. UC Irvine, we're looking forward to that series. But as Jonathan said, the team's just really looking good. Looking forward to see what they can do in the playoffs.
Over on the golf course, our men's golf team placed second at the Big West Championship with a score of 17 under par 847 at the La Quinta Country Club. Tegan Andrews will make his second career NCAA regional appearance as an individual from May 12th to 14th at Reno Regional. Andrew led our Titans in 9 of their 11 tournaments throughout the season. Speaking of champions, for the first time since the program was reinstated in 2009-2010, our women's golf team has won the Big West Championship. Our Titans dominated the 3-day tournament from the start, and our very own Caitlin Zermenio-Smith took home the individual title, becoming the first Titan to do so since Martina Edberg back in 2017. Smith also received the Big West Golfer of the Year award, ending her spectacular junior year. Coach Catherine Tosh was also named the Big West Coach of the Year after guiding the Titans to this historic breakthrough. All right, guys, obviously it wasn't the prettiest season for women's water polo, but on the other side of things, our women's golf team and our men's golf team had some pretty incredible seasons, and obviously we're all wishing the best for Tegan Andrews as he goes on to the NCAA regionals.
Yeah, quick thing about water polo. I know, tough conference, but with 1 year under their belt, it's a pretty young team. We mentioned that in previous shows. Hopefully they kind of develop and have good success next year.
Yeah, I think water polo is tough when almost all the teams you're playing are ranked. It's really tough. I think once we get our foot in the door, though, we'll be fine. I want to give a big shout out to the golf teams. I mean, golf is one of the sports that gets a little less coverage. We kind of talked about can be the case with like softball earlier, but with golf, I mean, women's team winning, we had the #1 overall leader and the Big West Player of the Year and Big West Coach of the Year. That's a big deal. So shout out to golf. And also, as you said, Tegan Andrews and the men's golf team getting second place is nothing bad as well. So shout out to both of our golf teams.
Yeah, women's water polo I am very optimistic about, though, because Coach Kyle Witt has such great leadership, and I feel like they're such a young program, and it's such a developing sport, especially women's water polo as well. So I'm optimistic about them going into next year and some of the returners that they're going to get. And then also for golf, I feel like it's great that you mentioned for both as well. Shout out to the women's team that was able to win the Big West Championship. That is huge. And then also shout out Tegan Andrews for making it to regionals.
The winner-go-home game between the Warriors versus Rockets took place in the Toyota Center on May 4th for the final game of the series. With both teams eager to advance, it was ultimately the Golden State Warriors who were able to claim the win with a final victory of 103-89. Buddy Hield led the Warriors in Game 7 with 33 points and 9 3-pointers. The Warriors are now facing off against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference semifinals, where they are up 1-0 in the series. The Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets went up against each other for their first game in the Western Conference semifinal, where Aaron Gordon shot the game-winning basket and sealed the deal for a Game 1 win for the Nuggets. Over on the east side, the Indiana Pacers lead their series 2-0 against the Cavaliers, and the Knicks are leading their series against the Celtics 1-0. After the break, Justin will be breaking down some of the most important plays that went down during these most recent NBA playoff games. Stay tuned.
I have a question about
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the beginning of May, which in the sports world means the NHL playoffs are here, the NFL draft just happened, and the MLB season's heating up. Shout out to Captain America, Aaron Judge. But none of that matters to me. You know why? Because the NBA playoffs are here and they are just heating up. This past weekend, we had the two biggest words in sports, Game 7 between the Warriors and Rockets, and 2 Game 1s in the Western Conference semifinals. Let's take a look. So first off, we have Amen Thompson, as you can see here, going up against Steph Curry in the Game 7 between the Warriors and the Rockets. First, we have Buddy Hield taking the shot from almost half court, and he hits it at the end of the first quarter. That is not the last we're going to see from Buddy Hield today. Next up, we're going to have Amen Thompson here. Puts Pajemski on the floor with the jelly and the finish there. Thompson, him and his brother are 2 aliens on the court. They're absolutely amazing. As we see here, Steph Curry says no thanks, hits the step back 3. The Rockets were down most of the whole game. As we can see here, the Canadian menace, Dylan Brooks, tries to bring them back into it, but as we're going to see here in this next clip, the Warriors said no thanks because Steph Curry draws the double team, pass to Buddy Hield for the dagger 3. Buddy Hield, 9 threes on the night, 33 points. He hasn't talked this much since college, but the Warriors are going on to the next round to play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Next game, we have Jokic, 2 games after winning a Game 7, going up against the Aura man himself, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're going to get things started here with Jamal Murray, the Laker merchant. Apparently, he makes shots against other teams. I didn't know that was a thing. Next round, we have Chet here. We're going to see Chet a little later. Pass to Alex Caruso. Hits the 3. The Thunder led by as many as 14 points in this game, 12 points in the second half. We're going to see how the Nuggets come back here. Russell Westbrook back in Oklahoma City Thunder. He feels right at home. Hits the 3, silencing the crowd. Now, we're going to transition Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the Nuggets are trying to come back. Hits the step back 3. Where's Aaron Gordon going? I don't know. Somebody needs to get that guy a map. We're going to go into the next clip now. Jokic thinks about it again, thinks about it one more time, shoots the 3, hits it, cuts the lead to 1 point for the Thunder. Now, we're going to pause the video. Chet Holmgren, he already missed the first free throw. He has one more shot. He needs to make this one to at least make it a full 1-possession game. You cannot miss this free throw. He looks nervous. I'm nervous. I don't know. Is he going to make it? We'll see. Takes the free throw, and what does he do? He misses it. Now, here we go. Christian Brown gets the rebound. 1 dribble. Outlet to Russ. Is Russ going to take it? No. 1 dribble. Outlet to Aaron Gordon for the win. Boom! Aaron Gordon hits the 3. The Denver Nuggets had no business winning this game. No chance there on the prayer attempt, and the Nuggets steal Game 1 in Oklahoma City Thunder. Will they be able to close out the series? We'll see in the future. One more game here. As we can see, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Game 1 against the Pacers, they have 3 of their stars out. We'll see what they'll be able to do. We're going to skip to the third quarter here. Donovan Mitchell, 48 points on the night. 48 points. We can see he's celebrating. He's not going to be celebrating for very long because this man right here, Tyrese Halliburton. Now, once again, let's pause the video. As we can see, the Pacers are down by 2. Tyrese Halliburton only has 1 more free throw left. So what is he going to do? Let's see. It looks like he shoots the ball high on purpose here to get his own rebound, and it works. He gets the rebound. All of a sudden, the Pacers are down by as many as 15. Now he has the ISO against Jonathan Mansour, a.k.a. Ty Jerome. Takes 1 dribble. Step back 3 for the win. Boom! Again! Tyrese Halliburton, Indiana Pacers, had no business winning this game. And as we're going to see right here, hits a celebration that's going to get him a $20,000 fine at least. Can't talk about what that was on camera. But the Pacers now, 2 games in Cleveland, and they have a 2-0 series lead against the Cavaliers. Crazy NBA action we've had so far. And now we're going to come back to the table. And I want to ask you guys first, what are your guys' thoughts? Are the Cavaliers are they really going to get swept as the number 1 seed? Jonathan, the ball's in your court. What do you think, man?
All right, let me tell you something. I know Ty Jerome had a dud yesterday.
No, what was the shooting percentage? What was it?
1 for 14 from the field.
What percentage is that?
Like 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad, pretty bad.
Bad, yeah. Pretty. Look, if you look at what he did at Game 1 and what he's doing off the bench, it's amazing. In Game 1, he had 21 points. He averaged, I don't remember exactly how much he averaged in Game 1, but it was in round 1, but it was a good amount. I have the Pacers actually winning this series. I will say that.
He's trying to win.
And if you want to check the tape, you can go on OC News and find when I was a sports anchor, because I said in my playoff prediction, the Pacers will be making the finals. Now, the Lakers will not be meeting them in the finals, but the Pacers are an amazing team. They're deep. Tyrese Halliburton is just a baller. So, here, Colin.
All I got to say is what the hell, Burton, because that was just an amazing series. I hate to admit it, he was voted the most overrated player among the league. I believe it was amongst the players in the league, anonymous poll. But he's certainly proving him wrong. I hate to admit it. He has been balling. He's looked really good. They should win the series. My initial prediction, I'm still going to have to stick with it because I don't switch it up. I said Cavs in 6, but it's looking pretty bleak right now for the most part. But I mean, all road teams winning at least game 1, and now the Pacers winning game 2 is just crazy to me. I believe Ant was like, 0 of 8 in the first half yesterday?
Yeah,
in
really
game 1, it was really bad. I mean, he ended up like with a decent stat line, but that was when they were already kind of out of it. But like scoring 88 points, having at one point 35 points with like 9 minutes left in the third quarter, that's not going to get it done. Especially when Curry's out and Jimmy Butler didn't even have, I don't even know if he had 20 points in the game. Wasn't even having a great performance. And you let a guy, Draymond Green was like one of their highest scorers in that game. He was going off. It is just, that has to change. I still am optimistic. I still think the Timberwolves are winning that series. I believe I said T-Wolves in 6. And then for the Nuggets, I actually did have the Nuggets winning in 7. That was my original prediction. I looked back 3 shows ago. I wrote down, I didn't get to say it, but I wrote it down, Nuggets in 7. So
Why is he capping?
You can find it.
I was right about them beating the Clippers in 7. I said Nuggets in 7 there. And, they stole game 1 victory. So, I mean, I like what I see right now. I'll pass it on to you, Serge.
I'm a big fan of the Pacers. I believe I said on the Between the Post podcast once that the Pacers are going to be winning in 7. I'm still going to stay true to that because, I mean, the Cavs, you can't rule them out. I mean, obviously, Donovan Mitchell, he's a stud. Like, scoring 48, and even still, like, Ty Jerome can't even help you out. Like, what are we doing, bro?
Wait.
You got to lock in, bro.
Hold on. Real quick. The Cavs had so many injuries yesterday. 3 of their core players out.
Then step up.
Kenny Atkinson had to run a starting lineup that had 8 possessions together in the regular season. That is absurd.
Possessions?
But they
Possessions.
were still up by like 15, though.
Yeah, I get it, but it's not.
You can't blow that lead.
Yeah, you're right. But Ty Jerome, go Sergio, just go.
I mean, like,
Get me out of my league.
Ty Jerome, from what it sounds like, he had his opportunity. He just didn't take advantage of it, especially when the brights were lightest. Or when the lights were the brightest, when the lights were the brightest. You know what I'm saying? One thing, too, that we didn't really mention, you did a little bit, but, like, the Timberwolves, bro, like, why are they suddenly, like, not functional when they're not facing purple and gold? Like,
Baker merchants, bro.
That really could have been us, man. If we were just, like, a logical and sensible team, like, bro, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
The Thunder, between the Thunder and the Nuggets, I had the Thunder winning in 5 just because I'm pretty high on the Thunder right now, but, like, my God, like, I was shocked when I saw that they won game 1. Like, I didn't watch anything from that game. And then I saw, like, 1-0. I was like, oh, shoot, like, I'm shocked. I'm personally shocked. And honestly, like, I feel like if the Nuggets start taking game 1, there's a very good chance you're going to take this series because, like, that might be a complete blow to the Thunder at this rate. They were not expecting to lose game 1 at home at all. But it's been fun so far, though.
Yeah, I feel like we should, one thing, I'll let you get your piece in, obviously, but should we real quick give ourselves the finals prediction since this is our last show of the semester? Okay. I've vocally said mine. I don't know if I've said it on this show before, but I've already said mine.
I can say what I have to say, then we can do that. All right. Move the ball back, please. That's my ball. Thank you. So, to comment on what we were saying earlier, the Pacers, last week on our podcast, I told Colin, I was like, just the way the Pacers are, they're annoying because they're not going to win the championship, but they're good enough to win a series as they did last year. So as of right now, I mean, at this point, the Cavs, unless the injuries are really bad, everybody's got to play. DeAndre Hunter, dislocated thumb, doesn't matter. You got to play next game. We're down. We're the number 1 seed.
Mentality at, bro?
We're the number 1 seed. They had 60-plus wins. We cannot go out like this. At least can't get swept. If we get swept going back to Indiana, that's bad. But one thing I wanted to bring up quickly, the only series we didn't touch on, the Knicks and the Celtics. Now, Game 2 is going to be tonight. The Celtics had a big lead in that. They completely blew it. I know Porzingis got hurt again. But the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, but OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, they all had amazing games. I'm looking at that game tonight. Celtics, as we said, imagine the Celtics going to the Garden and take 2 going back to New York. That would be crazy. Celtics are going to come out with the fire tonight. I expect Tatum had a terrible shooting night. I expect him to go off tonight. I think they're going to tie it up. I still have the Celtics winning in 6 games. I think 6, maybe 7 now, but that's one of the series I have my eye on. But as Colin pointed to, we should now do our NBA Finals, and now I'm looking because I don't even know who I want to pick. So Colin, I'll let you go first. What's your finals prediction?
All right, so the way I had it, I will actually flip through just to show you guys a little bit of proof, but I will, where did I write it? My bold prediction right here, I wrote this back on episode 8, so we are on episode 10, so that was, I believe, 3 weeks ago now. So NBA playoffs, my bold prediction, Timberwolves versus Celtics, and I got the Celtics winning in 6. The road that I had, the T-Wolves beat the Lakers, already happened, knew that was going to happen. Beat the Warriors, going to happen, I don't care, game 1's irrelevant. Thunder, see, look, maybe I did contradict myself. I was wrong. I did have the Thunder beating the Nuggets. So
Wow.
You know?
Wow. Spreading misinformation, bro.
But still, they're going to beat the Thunder. They're too young. They haven't been in that spot yet. The Timberwolves were there last year.
Just say like 2 minutes ago, I will not switch up my team.
I was wrong. Yeah.
We'll pull a clip.
But either way, I got the Celtics beating the Magic. They did. They're playing the Knicks right now. They'll win. I did have them beating the Cavs, but now we're finding out that might as well be the Pacers. But either way, I still got them beating the Pacers. So Celtics in 6 for me against the Timberwolves.
You know, something that I don't think any of us mentioned, Curry's hurt. Like, the Warriors have a big issue right now. Curry hurt his hamstring, and hamstrings are a tough injury to come back from, especially very soon. So I honestly expect him to be out of game 2. But hey, that's why you make that trade for Jimmy Butler. But final prediction-wise, I mean, I made a very bold take earlier. Pacers to the finals. Why not? I know Justin would not want to see that. Probably doesn't even tune into the finals if that happens. But Pacers, and from the West, I like a lot of teams. I like the Thunder. I'm not opposed to the Warriors. I'm not opposed to the Timberwolves, even though they knocked the Lakers out. I guess I'll just go Pacers versus Timberwolves. Why not? Let's go, Ant.
I had said I got the Thunder over the Celtics, and I don't know, like, there is some inexperience there with that team, but like they're a pretty good team. Like, you know, like I really hope I'm incorrect. Like, genuinely, because like I don't want to see the Celtics at that stage. The Thunder I don't want to see there as well. I don't know if I'd want to see the Nuggets there, but I don't
doesn't want to see anybody.
No, like can we just cancel the finals? Like,
I will say realistically, it's anyone but the Celtics for me.
Anyone but the Celtics, and I wish it was the Lakers, but there's no Lakers here.
Yeah.
I mean, in a perfect world, maybe I would like the Knicks from the East. This is my personal preference. I would like the Knicks from the East. From the West, I guess like Timberwolves are fine. Like, I don't know, like especially with the options.
It's kind of hard to pick the West. I'm not gonna lie.
All of a sudden, everybody's on the Timberwolves.
I'm not.
What have I been saying?
No, buddy, no.
I haven't gone yet. So
This guy's Jalen Daniels' biggest hater.
Eastern Conference, I'm not picking against the Celtics. I can't do it. They lost to the Knicks. I think they're still going to win the series. And then the Pacers, I think, they just like last year, they should have beat the Celtics in at least two. All those games were close. But I think they'll beat the Pacers in at least in 5 at the most. Out of the West, I don't like any of these teams.
It's hard.
If I had what I wanted to see, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing another Steph Curry finals run, but then that could have bad consequences for the LeBron, like the GOAT debate. Can't let that happen.
That can't happen.
But I'm gonna say
that can't happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna say Oklahoma City Thunder are gonna come out of the West. Bold prediction considering they're down against the champions 2 years ago. I'm gonna say Thunder and Celtics. Celtics win. Unfortunately, I don't want them to repeat, but the Celtics they're just too stacked, top to bottom. They missed 47, 48 3-pointers last
45.
game. 45. It's not gonna happen again. I have the Celtics beating the Thunder in 6 games, and this time, as much as I hate to say it, the 19-year-old Jason Tatum is gonna win Finals MVP. That's my prediction.
No.
It's kind of crazy the run that the Nuggets are on, and they've fired their coach with like 3 games left to go, and right now they're up against the number 1 seed.
Yeah. Crazy work.
All right, well, that about wraps up everything we have for you. Please give us a follow on Instagram and X at TitanTVCSUF and on TikTok at TitanTV_CSUF. Before we officially sign off, though, we'd like to send out a big thank you to all of our viewers, followers, and fans, as well as our production crew here at Titan TV. Without you guys, none of this would be possible, and the same can be said for my co-anchors Sergio, Jonathan, and Justin as well. It has truly been a pleasure working with you guys. We might not always agree with each other, as we just demonstrated, and we might support opposing teams. Shout out to 916 Sacramento. But we all bring something unique to the table, which makes being on the show worthwhile. With that being said, we hope you all enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next season of
Titan Sports!
Woo.